I am very excited to be speaking about a totally different subject, one that we haven't touched on before. And I'm thrilled to have Kevin Thompson with me here today. Kevin is an MLM attorney. He's a proud husband, father of four, and the founding member of Thompson Burton PLLC. Kevin has been named as one of the top 25 most influential people in direct sales. And Kevin has an extensive experience to help entrepreneurs launch their businesses on a secure legal footing. Kevin's been featured on Bloomberg TV and several national publications. So Kevin, thank you so much for being here. It's great to have you.
Absolutely. I appreciate the invitation. This will be a fun discussion.
Yeah, most people probably think I'm crazy being excited about talking to an attorney.
Everybody says that. Oh my gosh, it's a lawyer. I get it. Yeah, we deserve our reputation.
And as you know, I'm married to an attorney, so yeah. I get it. So Kevin, I think there is tons of misinformation, confusion, misunderstanding, beliefs about what's true and what's not true, what's legal and what's not legal out there in the network marketing industry. So I'll just give you a couple of examples that I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So I recently had a leader in a company tell me that all travel companies that charge a membership fee, a monthly membership fee, and then pay affiliate/distributor commissions from that membership fee, they're illegal. True or false?
It's false. Yeah, it's false. So that gives us a really big canvas to paint on. And when I hear that sort of comment, I like to go to first principles. And is it legal to have a multi-tier pay structure? And the answer is yes. The FTC even acknowledges it on their website. It's not a mystery. So network marketing in general is legal. Full stop. Now, there's a community of people out there where the whole industry just needs to burn, right? The success rates aren't what they need to be, and the whole thing just needs to burn. But that doesn't get to the point of, is it legal or not? It's legal. And so with that as a foundation, so what is illegal? Where are the boundaries? And that's why I have a job, and there's not much competition in this job, candidly. Not many lawyers do this.
Yeah.
You know, nobody goes to law school saying, hey, I'm going to be an MLM attorney, right?
Yes.
We want to be Johnny Cochran defending people in court and getting all the headlines and the adrenaline rush of litigation. That was my draw.
Right.
But life happens and experience happens. And I found myself in this sector. And how I relate to this industry is I was an athlete in college. You wouldn't know it now, but about 30 pounds ago, I did the decathlon. Actually, in the background there, you got Discobolus. Discobolus is a Greek pentathlete, right? So decathlon's 10 events over 2 days. And you get beat a lot in that event because you can only do 3 decathlons a year, really, maybe 4, 5 if you're an elite. So we did 3 a year. The rest of the year, we're competing in open events. So the high jump is a part of the decathlon. So I would do the high jump in an open event against just pure high jumpers. They'd kill me. Right. I'd throw shot put against people who outweighed me by 100 pounds, and they would kill me. But over a long enough time horizon, through good habits compounding over time, I experienced some success. And that's the way it is with anything. It just takes good habits over a long period of time, and success happens. And just give me the shot. I don't need the certainty. Just give me the opportunity to work and just see how far I can take it. And this industry is one where people are rewarded in direct relation to their production.
Yeah.
Not so much, not so much in direct relation to their desire or their effort, but it's their production. Yeah. And I understand that in my core. And so back to the original point, what separates the good companies from the bad companies, it's really about what money is driving the reward. If the reward is driven by a product sale, it's okay. And so then we can get into the whole thing, and I'll make this not very boring, and I'll stop talking and give you a chance to ask a question. But let's say I've got a caffeine drink here, and I say, well, this one's special. It's $10,000. Right. It's not really a product. So the court has a way to determine if a product has legitimate value. That's why it's important for companies to show, hey, customers buy this. People outside the network buy this. That really is the fundamental key that separates good companies from bad. And so to your hypothetical about travel companies, I pay a membership fee for a travel portal. I'm a customer. There's value in that. And so I have clients that are in the travel space. And so as long as the portal has value for people outside the network, it's fine. That is a legitimate product sale, and that does exist in our industry.
Okay, great. So it's not true that if there's a membership fee and people are being paid commissions from that membership fee, that it's illegal against FTC regulations, right?
As long as the membership fee is also available to customers, right? If customers can pay the membership fee and access the benefits, you're okay.
Right. And when you say product, we're really talking about product or service.
Absolutely. So anything of value.
Product. Right. Great. Okay. So here's another one. I had a leader not too terribly long ago, and I'm talking about leaders in the network marketing industry that are out there saying these things. And I don't for a second believe they're saying them to be malicious. I think this falls under this huge category of misinformation, confusion, misunderstanding. So I had another leader tell me that any matrix comp plan is illegal.
Yeah, so courts, they're precise like sledgehammers. So we would like to think that the courts are like the FDA, very precise in what they demand and very precise in language. The reality is there's never been a court that says a matrix plan is illegal. A binary plan is illegal, right? That was a myth in the old days.
Right.
What courts care about is behavior. What behavior is driving the plan? Is it opportunity-driven demand, or is it product-driven demand? And I'll give you an example. Back to my $10,000 soda example.
Right.
The only way to make that work is to recruit people. It is going to be recruitment heavy and very low on product value. So the behavior in the field is recruitment heavy.
Right.
Now, matrix plans, they're not de facto illegal, but they do tend to incentivize recruitment because the message, and this is where the company really has to train people properly, because there's a spectrum in this industry of what's acceptable and what's not.
Right.
And usually it's not just one factor that sinks a ship. And so if you have a plan that doesn't incentivize recruitment and growth, it needs to be offset by good training, retail sales requirements, customer acquisition, those sorts of things, and it's fine.
Okay, great. So I recently read your colleague, Tim Ritter's article on required purchases, the MLM pay-to-play dilemma. So he basically saying in that article that you can't be forced to have minimum monthly auto ships in order to be an active affiliate and get paid. But don't 95% plus of network marketing companies require a minimum monthly auto ship in order to be an active affiliate and to get paid commissions?
So that's Thomas Ritter, and I support the article. What the article says, it doesn't say, hey, if you're doing this, it's illegal. The article calls for a discussion. Maybe we should do away with what we call MVRs. MVR is a minimum volume requirement. Now, they are legal. So you can have, let's say, 100-point MVR, and it can be satisfied by selling product to a customer or purchase. In a lot of companies, people just get on auto ship and they just purchase just that amount. And in our view, that makes it very easy for a court to say, well, people, they're not buying less than the MVR and they're not buying any more. That shows that people are buying primarily just to qualify. Right. And so it's just a suggestion in the industry that maybe we should get away from this. Amway doesn't have one, for example. You could have 0 personal points and your pay is still generated based on downline production. And so we still think, and I'll use an example, the 4 horsemen of death of humankind. It's cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and mental problems, Alzheimer's and dementia, right? If
Right.
you can offset just one of those risk factors, you can extend your life almost, significantly.
Yeah. Right.
It's this whole longevity trend. If you just take off one of those risk factors off the table, it helps. That's the MVR concept. If a company, and I get it, it's not very popular, and people are like, well, hey, my competitors are doing it and they're fine, and that's true. But there is inherent risk with companies with MVRs. And back to my spectrum comment, if there's an MVR, we recommend that you better make sure that customer sales are incentivized. Because if 90% of the company volume comes from, let's call them distributor or affiliate purchases,
right,
that's a problem. And so that, companies need to acknowledge that there's risk in the plan and they need to offset that risk.
And so what is the recommended, or, whether it's an FTC requirement or something, what percentage of, because I've heard all kinds of numbers, again, there's all kinds of misinformation out there and misconceptions. What is the required, or whether maybe there's not a requirement, is there a suggestion that you have in terms of the percentage of, for those companies that have that minimum monthly volume requirement, what percentage of sales do they have to have coming from customers?
So there's no hard and fast rule, but with case law, we know that 3% is not enough, right? That was Burn Lounge, which was a case in the mid 90s. I think, no, I'm sorry. That was early 2000s. Wait, I'm drawing a blank. I think it might've been 2014. Sorry, getting my cases confused. Mid 90s was Omnitrition. So we know 3% is not enough. I'm being a little facetious. That's absurd. That's really low. The FTC has never given out a percentage. They've never, now in speeches, which is where the agency, like the FTC and the SEC, they give you a feel for their vibe, the mood that they're in. Like, this is what we perceive to be a problem. But remember, the FTC, SEC, the whole alphabet soup agencies, they can't make law. So, but they have a lot of discretion in the kinds of companies that they pursue. And they'll give you a heads up in the form of speeches. And so Edith Ramirez, the commissioner under Obama, she gave a speech saying that the plan needs to be primarily driven by retail. And we interpret primarily to be 51%. That's probably a reasonable view. I think 51%, if a company has that, they're better than 90% of the companies out there. So 51% is good. Some people demand more. In the FTC settlement with Herbalife agreed to, which was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Herbalife agreed to 80% retail, and they're fine. They're like, fine, we'll do it. We've always had the customers. We just didn't code them properly. They changed their business a little bit, and their point volume still climbed. So
Herbalife, this is a question. Did Herbalife get into trouble with the FTC because there was a perception by the FTC that Herbalife did not have more customers than distributors? Was that the basic?
Well, the Herbalife story is a wild ride. There's a book on it called When the Wolves Bite, written by Scott Wapner, who's a CNBC panelist. And that whole story is how I got on Bloomberg and also CNBC. So they were shorted in 2012. So a very prominent hedge fund manager, and I'll keep this brief because it's a long story, but Bill Ackman said, this company's going to zero. It's all crap. And if he had done that with most other companies that are publicly traded in our industry, companies would have panicked, and he probably would have been pretty successful. Herbalife, it turns out, actually did have a lot of retail. And he was operating under the belief that they didn't. So he shorts the company in 2012.
So just to be clear for our listeners, Herbalife is a publicly traded company, and he was shorting the stock on that publicly traded company.
Correct. And shorting the stock means he is betting that the company will decline. And then he went on a very public campaign to make that happen. Footnote, Carl Icahn had a bone to pick with Bill Ackman. And so Carl Icahn bought shares of the stock, which then protected the value. Very fascinating. FTC does step in and they investigate Herbalife. They did settle with Herbalife, and they never called Herbalife a pyramid scheme. They just said, hey, look, if you want to keep operating, these are the restrictions. Herbalife said, fine. And it's amazing. And I've had this article in my head for a while. I can't quite get it to paper. I do have their volume points mapped out since the settlement, and their volume has increased. So our industry does provide value to the marketplace. I mean, Herbalife's a good example of that. And I think there's a lot of companies that if they tried, they could really show strong customer numbers. Neora is another example. The FTC sued Neora like 3 years ago. And the FTC just assumes, oh, the retail sales are nothing. They just make that. I think that's very improper. And in fact, Neora, they got it in court. They proved they have over 70% of their volume is retail. So we're still waiting on that decision. I'm expecting / hoping Neora comes out on top in that one. So, but to answer your question, more is better. More retail is better.
And really interesting for people to understand that the FTC doesn't make laws. And as you said, it's not all black and white. It's not like there's necessarily a place that you can go and look up what must a network marketing company do to stay under the radar of the FTC and be 100%, crystal clear, perfect, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, and actually, little political lesson here. These agencies are led by people appointed by the president. So you have a Republican president, they tend to appoint Republican people in charge of these agencies. And so these entities really shift over time, and there's not much continuity. But over time, these agencies, the SEC is a really good example. They're not getting much help from Congress. As a real example, cryptocurrency is a new thing. Yeah. And Congress just doesn't know what to do. Right. So they're doing nothing. And so the SEC is like, well, crap, we got to do something. And so over time, these agencies flex their muscle and they get involved in these industries and they don't really have authority. And so we see that across, but now that the courts are different, the courts tend to be more conservative now throughout the whole country. You're seeing judges push back and say, hey, even the FTC with the Supreme Court, capital S, capital C, they lost an issue 2 years ago unanimously. And the issue was the FTC was pursuing monetary damages. They've been doing this for 30 years. And the court says, wait a second, where does it say in the statute that you have this power? Right. And so that power was sort of assumed over time. So to your point, it's the regulatory environment is very confusing, especially right now.
And again, for our listeners, we tend to hear things in the industry like, the FTC, shut down Vima, for example, or the FTC shut down this company or Avocare or whatever. And we tend to think that the company was evil, whatever. And as my husband, the attorney, reminded me just a couple of days ago, regulatory issues come up all the time with all kinds of companies. Facebook, whether you like Facebook or don't like Facebook, comes up against regulatory issues. Microsoft, Apple, it's part of doing business if you're, in the US. And so it doesn't mean that the company is necessarily illegal or evil or anything like that if they come up against a regulatory issue with the FTC, correct?
Well, correct. Yeah, I call it the bigger companies are like ATM machines. The FTC will knock on the door and pull out cash. $1 billion here, $500 million there. In my opinion, the FTC is really setting its sights on larger issues. They're not so much focused on network marketing. Now, they could be waiting to see how this litigation pans out with Neora. But I would agree with you that it was overreach with Vima. It was overreach with Neora. Same with Advocare. Neora fought back, so they're not done.
Right.
Advocare settled. And I think it was overreach with Herbalife, because if Herbalife was a pyramid scheme, they would have collapsed by now.
Right.
Because a pyramid scheme can't have retail sales. A pyramid scheme offers minimal value to the marketplace. You can't have 80% of your revenue come from customers as a pyramid scheme. I'm very emphatic about that. And so I think Herbalife was a little political pressure and overreach. Sometimes the FTC gets it right. More often than not, they don't, in my opinion.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? So another question for you, Kevin. Does the FTC actually shut down companies? Or is it that, you know, the penalties the company has to pay or how they'd have to restructure everything is just too great and they can't afford to stay in business after they've been, you know, hit on by the FTC?
It's a combination of things. So typically what happens, the FTC will get an immediate injunction, and that is a shutdown. And that shutdown is in place during litigation. And so if that shutdown stays in place for 2 years, nobody can survive. That is a shutdown. Now, sometimes the company can get that injunction lifted and say, Your Honor, this is aggressive. The FTC misstated the facts. Lift the injunction. That has happened. It doesn't happen often. It happened in a company was sued 2 years ago called Financial Education Services, and they were able to get the injunction lifted. They are still in business and doing quite well. Vima, same sort of thing. They were shut down. They got to the hearing, and then they negotiated a settlement. They're still operational now. So it really depends on the business.
Right. Okay. So let's shift a little bit and talk about keeping distributors, affiliates out of trouble. So, you know, we all hear all these different things about what you can say, what you can't say. And I have a list here of things from one of the companies that I work with, of things that they consider to be, and I'm not sure if they got this from the FTC, because the beginning of this says the FTC will take action against individuals who or companies that make deceptive income claims or lifestyle claims. Well, we've heard that before, right? But then the company has this list of words that they say are high risk words that they have determined according to the FTC. So let me just read you some of these things, because after I read this, I'm like, what can we say? So they say you can't say additional income. You can't say be your own boss, earn an extra, earn up to, extra cash, get paid what you're worth, income that you deserve, life-changing income. You can't say passive income, pay debt. You can't say plan B. You can't say quit your job. You can't say recurring income, replacement income, or residual income. You can't say retire early. You can't say secondary income. It's like, what? Secondary income? What's the matter with that? But I'll wait to hear from you. You can't say significant income. You can't say stay at home. You can't say stream of income. You can't say thousands of dollars, thousands per month. You can't say time freedom, and you can't say top income earner. Now, interestingly, this particular company says, while you can't say recurring income, replacement income, or residual income, you can say ongoing income. It's like, how is it your average affiliate supposed to figure out what on earth now we all understand that you can't make income claims, and you don't ever want to tell somebody that they're going to get rich quick or anything like that. You shouldn't be showing your back office and showing how much you made. You shouldn't be stating how much you made. You need to have disclaimers on everything. So if you're doing, like, every one of my YouTube videos has a disclaimer on it, right? But help.
Yeah.
Help.
Also, you can't say you enjoy yourself. You can't go out in public. No, so companies have a lot of discretion in how they want to police their field. So that there is no magic formula here. And the company you're talking about is obviously very, very, very conservative, and probably more likely than not to survive regulatory trouble in the future. Now, is it worth it if it grinds sales to a halt? That's a decision that they have to make internally. Right. And then they need to foster trust with the field, and say, hey, this is why we're doing this. Trust us. It's for everybody's benefit. Right. That's the approach that they've taken. What is the rule? Income claims by themselves are considered to be misleading, unless the claim is of an average result. So if I take a weight loss product, this is not an income claim example,
Right.
but let's say I do a weight loss product, and that weight loss product on average, people lose about a pound a month. That's reasonable. And I say, yeah, I've lost 10 pounds in 10 months. I don't need to have a disclosure there. It's when you show exceptional results. I lost 10 pounds in 1 week. Well, then the average result needs to be disclosed. Same with income claims, especially with income claims. Of course, most income claims are above average.
Right.
And so when a claim is made, they can be made, but people have to provide averages, and that's hard. That's hard for people to do, and to do it regularly and to do it well. And the company has to provide those averages.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Most of us don't have a clue what the average income is.
Yep. And so that's the rule. And then the company can drill down a little deeper if it wants to, and control your language. And this really was an issue during COVID. A lot of aggressive claims were made from disease standpoints and even income opportunity standpoints. And the FTC said, we can't sue everybody, but we can. They sort of created this new rule called penalty offense authority. And they said, hey, we're notifying everybody. You're all out of compliance. They sent letters to hundreds and hundreds of companies, not just network marketing companies. And they said, you guys are all on notice. If we catch you in the future, it's a flat penalty, like a speeding ticket. And that per infraction. And that scared a lot of companies. FTC hasn't really done much with that. But the point is, you said, what can we say?
Yeah.
Work with your company. And the grass might be greener on the other side, but also there might be a hole in the boat you don't know about. And you're with a company trying to do it right. They're trying to stay in business. And so it's like parenting a child. People have different philosophies on how to do that. There's no magic formula for that.
Right.
You're trying to create good, positive behavior in the future in the community. Do you let them have snacks after 9 o'clock? It's all fair. You know what I mean? It's all fair game.
Darn, Kevin, I thought you were going to give us the magic formula for parenting today.
Yeah, no. So your company has a more conservative approach, bedtime by 7 o'clock, no sweets.
Yeah. So there is no list from the FTC of things you can and cannot say.
Not at all. No.
Okay.
But those words that you mentioned, they create an impression.
Right.
And that's what your company is trying to be sensitive to, the impression created when you say residual income. That implies recurring income. Well, is it? Really, you want the theme to be that the income is earned every month, and that's not automatic. That's what your company's trying to get at. Passive income, same thing, meaning you get paid for doing nothing. And so they're just trying to steer the language in the field.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand.
It is aggressive, but I also understand it.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't understand what the difference is between recurring income, residual income, but then they say it's okay to say ongoing monthly income.
Yeah.
But
recurring residual might imply passive. Ongoing might imply maybe it's tied to effort. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah. Okay. But again, we have so many misunderstandings, misconceptions, and beliefs out there about what the law is, what the FTC says, what they don't say. So good to hear from someone who full-time practices, as an attorney in this space, right?
Gloria, I lost you.
Oh, I can see you and hear you.
You're frozen.
Okay.
Now you're back.
Now I'm back. Okay, sorry about that. So one last question for you. Can you say business opportunity? Can you call something a business opportunity?
I would advise against that, because business opportunity is treated separately by the FTC. They have a biz op rule. And so if something's considered a biz op, they have all kinds of requirements for that. Now, network marketing companies are exempt from those requirements because the cost of participation usually is under $500. Right. So we're not really part of that rule. When you say biz op, it makes it easier for the FTC to say they're a biz op, and they don't have, they don't comply with, it's a 7-day cooling off period. So you have to present the opportunity to somebody, wait 7 days. and there's massive disclosure requirements. So usually that language you want to avoid. Income opportunity, totally fine.
Okay. Again, great to hear that. So one last question for you, because I've had people tell me, oh, you can, as an affiliate distributor, you can go to jail for saying stuff. What are the chances that an affiliate, a distributor is going to go to jail? Let's say they're out there posting on social media, doing a YouTube video, doing a podcast. What are the chances that a distributor or an affiliate could actually go to jail for saying?
Gosh, slim to zero.
Okay.
So if we're talking Ponzi schemes,
which we're not, obviously,
then that's criminal. And in those situations, people do go to jail, but they're making millions of dollars selling vaporware.
Right.
So Glenn Greenwood, I think, he was one of the co-founders of OneCoin, was just sentenced to 20 years in prison. Right. That's OneCoin, massive Ponzi scheme. So if you're in a company that sells something real, forget jail, forget that.
Okay.
Now there could be civil penalties, which does happen. Usually the FTC or a regulator will sue the company as well as some of the top leaders, because the company provides the boat and the field drives it. So they really need to link both together in a lawsuit. So you'll see some of your top distributors get wrapped in a civil dispute. That's rare. That's 1 in a million kind of luck.
Okay.
Literally, it's very rare. And so, no, if somebody makes a mistake, they're not going to the FTC is not going to just sue that person. The company might terminate, or they might suspend if there's bad behavior, but that person doesn't have a lot of individual risk there.
Okay. That's good to know, because again, I've had top leaders say, oh, you need to be really careful because you could end up in jail. And I'm thinking, really?
That's absurd. Yeah, that's absurd.
Yeah. Okay.
That's just somebody trying to manipulate you, it sounds like.
Yeah. Kevin, any last words of wisdom you want to leave with all of us? I mean, this has been really, really, really helpful. So I really appreciate you spending the time talking about this.
No, I enjoy it. I appreciate people that hustle, and I appreciate how you're building your business. Last words of wisdom. I would say be passionate about the product that you're selling, not just the income opportunity. Really understanding the product and loving it and being able to sell it to your grandparent or parent with a straight face is very important. Also, understand the value of long time horizons. Success just never happens fast.
Yes.
Even if it looks easy on paper, it just takes time. So give it time. People make mistakes when they start jumping from opportunity to opportunity, and they lose a lot of momentum, and they don't allow compounding to work in their favor. So find a company you like with good leadership, with leaders with integrity, and commit long-term energy, and things work out in this space.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with you. Look, there's nothing that's easy about this. There's a big difference between simple and easy.
Yeah.
And, as someone who's earned, my living in the industry, it's not easy. It could be simple because you just get a whole bunch of people, to do small bits and pieces, but it sure as heck is not easy. As you well know, anything that, gives you an opportunity to earn an income. I hope I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
And no matter what business it is, if you start off a business as a plumber, you start off a business as, whatever, construction business.
It takes time.
It takes time, and it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
Kevin, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your knowledge and the value you brought to the table today. Thank you.
I appreciate the invitation. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. Take care.